Hey everybody, welcome to my train room. If it's your first time here, my name is Don. This is a CCP&T Oak Gauge Railroad. Today, I'm going to show you some changes, and I know you're saying, hey, wait a minute. Do you have changes every time you make a video? I know it kind of seems that way. Basically, I do things a little different. I know a lot of people draw up their layouts. They get them all drawn up and get everything right, everything where they have it, and then they build it. I guess I don't do it that way. I got a rough idea what I want. I set up the layout, and I like to run trains on it for 2 or 3 weeks sometimes. And if I don't like it, I'm going to tear it apart and do it over. And I want to make sure when I get done, because basically I do a lot of scenery. So if you're going to do scenery, you better have it the way you want it. Otherwise, you end up tearing up a lot of scenery. And I speak from that from experience because I did HO before I did O. And I hate to think how much scenery I threw in a trash can. So this time around, I'm making real sure this is the way I want it. So hopefully this is the last change video you're going to see. There are a couple little tweaks here or there that'll have to be done eventually, but the main layout is now done. All right, let's get on with it. We're going to go over to the staging area through the hole in the other room. And we're going to start over there, some changes I made there, and from that, we'll come in here and go through here. Okay, here's the main room. We'll come back to that. Let's start on our staging area, and that is in this room here. So this will be the staging area. I've changed this a couple times. I tried reverse loops a couple times. At one point in time, let's go down here and show you. There's where we come through the wall. And at one point in time, I was planning on coming along here and then going back out to the main area. But if I put a loop across there, I have a hard time reaching the track. So I thought, I just can't make that loop that way. That's why I went with reverse loops. I didn't like them. So now I've come down here and I put in a Y instead. So now you come through the hole, come down the track, you follow down the Y, and you come around to where the track ends there, and I may need to put about 2 more pieces on and put a little bit of, hook something to the wall. I can't quite get the passenger train in. So, but after that, you can back right up, you back through the Y, and then you can back down what I call the main track, which is in between these 2 trains. There's, you get around where you can see it, there's a track right down there, and I thought that's kind of my main. And from there, you have all the sidings going off. I figure you can back a train into that main, unhook the engine, and move him over like where these guys are. And that is, I don't know how that's going to work over there yet. That's just what's there temporary for now. And at that point in time, you can have your train come down here, my little docksider that I'm going to use. He can start taking the train apart, taking cars, putting them on various tracks. That's kind of the idea for the staging area. There will be a backdrop to cover up that white wall. I've got it designed, but I haven't taken it to Staples and had them make it into a backdrop yet. So we'll get that down the line. So that's basically the staging yard, how I have it set up for now. And I don't think there'll be any major changes back here anymore, except on this side. I like this. I don't know what I'm going to do there yet. I set those there for now, but there might be a maintenance yard area. There's going to be a lot of scenery done back in here too. So we'll make a decision over there later. But for now, let's go back to the main. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take this guy right here, and we're going to take him and let him go around the track so we can see the entire layout through him. By the way, before we go, every siding here, as you can see, there's a lot of engines sitting here. The track is turned on, but as you can see by all the toggle switches, every siding has a shut off. So that way nobody's running until I want them to run. So with that said, let's turn this guy on. And we're going to head him out the track, and we'll go out and meet him in the other room. We'll take him around and do the lower level first and show you what we've got there. I got some changes right here. We'll talk about them in a bit. Down here he'll go underneath that, and we'll have to figure out exactly how we're going to do that later as far as all the scenery is concerned. And while I got him here, we're just going to stop him right here, and I can kind of go over some of the changes that I've made. And hang on a second, I need to flip a switch too while I'm at it, while we're here. That way I know where we're going the next time around. All right, I took out the fast track. I had fast track on this siding. I had fast track on this siding, and I decided I was going to go with the tubular. I like the tubular better because when I weatherize it and do everything with it, with the ties and the ballast, I just like the looks of it better. So I decided to go this way. I pulled the fast track, and aside from a few switches here on the main area that are fast track switches, because I find them a little more dependable than the old 022s, everything here now will be tubular. And I had somebody ask me, I mentioned I was going to do this, and somebody asked me how I do my railroad ties and the weathering. Well, as you can see, there's a piece of track right there that needs it, and this could use a little touching up. So this is a section of track. We're going to weatherize it. We're going to put the ties down, and I'll show you how to do that, and that will probably be maybe on the next video. Before we take off, let me throw some more switches so we can run him around. All right, let's head out. For the rest of the lower level, there are no changes. Everything else is pretty much now staying the same on the lower level. The buildings were here before. We get into the senior area now. And here he's just got the short tunnel. And there he'll head in. Now when he heads into that tunnel, it's going to come all the way around till we get over to here. And this is where he'll eventually come out this tunnel. There he is. There'll be a little bit of tunnel work over here too where he goes through. And I guess I better get ahead of him. I got to flip another switch. And I'm going to stop him real quick. To one thing I want to discuss with you. My lower level, he has just been going around the lower level clockwise. The lower level is an entire loop that you can go around clockwise. You could run, as big as it is, you could easily run 2 trains going around here. But where he's going right now is the reverse loop, is a reverse. I guess it's not really a reverse loop, it's just a reverse. It's required because the only way to go into the staging area that we came through that hole in the wall, you have to be going counterclockwise. And in just about a minute, we're going to go up the incline to the upper level, and the only way to do that is if you're going counterclockwise. So this is what the station is needed for. Let me flip a switch real quick. We're going to flip that. There we go. This is always going to have to be left open. You can't just sit cars here, such as I can here, because anytime a train wants to move to counterclockwise so it can go in the staging area up above, he's going to have to go through here. All right, let's head to the upper level. And now is where you'll find more of the changes that I've made. Again, we've got to go through the tunnel area, and we're going to come out over here. There we go. We get up on top, and I will stop and let you know the first change I made. All right, we're gonna stop right here. Right here, you see, I get the camera, you see them. We have two fast track switches. I tried an 022 up here. I just, you know, they're a 31 circumference. They're a little tight, and we saw that when Mike was here with the big boy. So I like the fast track switches. They seem to do a better job. I don't have as many problems. That is a 36 there, taking us coming up, and then a 72 here. Now, I had these butted up next to each other, and I had a problem. A train would come up, go through the curve in the 36, and sometimes I would lose the front wheels because he would hit the 72 right away. So what I did is, took it apart, put that's either a 4.5 or 5 inch spacer in between them, and that seems to have solved my problem some. I hated to do it because if I go over here, I had to start cutting all this track to make them custom fit. If you'll see, get around here, both of these are the fast track to tubular adapters you can buy at Menards. And normally those are 10 inches long, and those right there are, I don't know, 7.5. I had to cut them down. That is one thing I like about tubular track. It's easy to adjust. I just mark what I need. I go out to my barn, take my grinder and a cutoff wheel, and I cut it off. So we did this versus I had crossovers here, and I had a long single line. When Mike and I talked, we were talking about doing just an upper loop where you could stay there and have a big loop. But my problem was right over here. Well, let me get down and see it. Right over there, the track there. I didn't have enough space to get 2 lines in there. You could, but it was very, very tight. And I decided, you know what? Let's just go with the reverse loop here. So that's what I decided to do. And I bought the old 72s so I would have bigger switches, make it a little bit nicer. There was a crossover in this area. I removed it. We didn't need that anymore. Kind of going behind everybody. We'll catch him as he comes out this side. Now, one thing I haven't done up here yet that I have to do, I just wanted to get things operational. As you can see, my mining operation, there's a rail there, but it doesn't connect to anything. Let the train get by. There you can see it doesn't connect. I need to put a switch in up here. I just haven't got around doing that yet. So coming back where we were, we've made a reverse loop. Oops, wait a minute. Normally I wouldn't have stopped, but I was so busy talking to you guys, I didn't flip the other switch. I think this one flipped itself. We're going to back up. I stopped him kind of late. So play it safe. There we go. I just want to make sure. All right, now we're ready to go. That top is removable. I need to get into it. And we still have backdrop we're going to need here. Right in here is where I've got to be a little cautious. I've got to be able to get down to the lower level to work on it. So I kind of fall over here so I don't have to point this right at the window. And right in here I have the second 072 switch. I'll tell you what, let's just flip the switch. And now he can just run and stay up here. Technically it's a reverse loop at either end, but now you can put a train up here. You can leave it up here, and the idea is eventually I want a second transformer, and the upper level can be run on one of either 2 transformers, I can use a DP-DT switch to switch back and forth. And you could actually at that point in time then run a conventional train on top and remote trains on the lower level. Let me get ready to flip some switches here, guys. And back down he comes. So by setting it up this way, I figure you have the ability. You want to run the lower level, go back up the upper level, come back down to the lower level, and just keep going back and forth. You have the ability to do that. Or you can just stay on the upper level, stay on the lower level, and run about as many trains as you want. Bring him in here to the siding. And let me shut off the power to this siding. There we go. Well, there you have it, guys. There are hopefully the last of the major changes. A couple sidings here or there need to be tweaked eventually, but hopefully we've made the big changes. Next video, I promised it before, I've promised it a second time, we will go right behind the cameras there by the station, and we will weather that section of track. How do I weather it to get the rusty rails? And how do I put in the ties and the ballast? And I think you're going to find my way of putting in ties are a little faster than what some other guys do. I've watched a few people putting ties on tubular track, and I mean, it's where they're doing it is a perfectly acceptable and a great way to do it. I just think it's a little too much work. So I like to do things a little easier, and that's what we're going to do next time around. Hey, we'll see you then.